Good morning. Welcome to my morning podcast where I read random excerpts from books that I choose from my bookshelf from using oracle cards and numerology. So this morning I've got two soundscapes running in the background. One is the sound of the rain from my Google Nest Mini, and the other one is ethereal music, Adrift by Christopher Lloyd Clarke. It just puts me in a really nice, calming mood just to have background music, and it helps to block out background noise, as I should say. Excuse my morning croaky voice. I've just been awake for about just over an hour, so my voice still needs warming up. That's why I really like doing these morning podcasts. This is literally my second one, but it's just really relaxed and I don't have to worry about, my voice doesn't sound, blah, blah, blah. When I do my sleep stories, I have to make sure my voice is all warmed up. But with these morning podcasts, it's just really casual, and I can just talk and mumble and stumble over my words, and it doesn't really matter because it's just really casual. And I hope I'm keeping you company while you get ready in the morning or whenever you listen to this. Just have it on in the background if you like, or you can even listen to it at nighttime. I'll sure to put you to sleep with my rambling. Okay, that's a really long introduction. I'll keep them shorter next time. And just before I do reading from the two books that were chosen this morning, I'm going to read some quotes from two quote books. So the first one is Love Your Life, 100 Ways to Start Living the Life You Deserve by Domonique Bertolucci. Sounds like an Italian name. So I'm just going to read the blurb. It's a really cute book, and it has amazing quotes inside it. And then on the other page, it has like a really nice brief summary of like an action you can do or an inspiration paragraph written by the actual author. So it's like a quote by a famous writer, and then on the other page just some more information about that quote or just generally something related to that quote. Okay, so the blurb. Have you ever felt you were not living up to your full potential? Love Your Life shows you how to realize your dreams and achieve lasting happiness. Within these pages, you will find inspirational ideas and advice from happiness expert Domonique Bertolucci to motivate and support you on your way to living your best life. Each message will only take a moment to read, but if you put it into action, will create lasting change in the way you live. So I've already chosen two quotes, so I just chose them randomly by flipping the book open. So I really love doing that. I just feel like the universe is just sending me messages by me just randomly instinctively just opening the page. So the first one, which is amazing because I love Theodore Roosevelt's other Man in the Arena quote. If you're familiar with Brene Brown, she is the most watched TED Talk in the history of TED Talks. Her TED Talks are amazing. I highly, highly recommend them. I've watched them so many times when I first discovered them many years ago. So just Google on YouTube, just go to YouTube and search Brene Brown TED Talk, and she talks about authenticity, she talks about shame, creativity, critics, how creative people, or everyone really, we're always worried about our critics, but the critics don't count because they're not in the arena making the creative work. So, she quotes Theodore Roosevelt that, if you're not in the arena, putting yourself out there, making creative stuff, sharing it with the public, then I'm not interested in your feedback. And I just get chills. And also Google Theodore Roosevelt Man in the Arena quote. It's an amazing quote. I don't want to butcher it by trying to say random things from the quote. But yeah, it essentially just talks about it's the man in the arena who's marred with dust and sweat, that stumbles and falls, that, his work counts, not the critics that are sitting in the stands. Okay, so this is another quote from Theodore Roosevelt. Do what you can with what you have where you are. So I really love this quote because it's very encouraging. Sometimes we always think, oh, we have to have the perfect situation or the perfect equipment, or, everything has to be, top notch and really, really good. And then I'll work on it, or I'll share it, or I'll do it. But whatever you have, whatever equipment you have, just start creating stuff. And when you create things and you share it, you kind of give yourself sorry, you kind of give yourself feedback, because you create something, you publish it, and then you share it online or whatever. And then when you observe it as an observer instead of the creator, you're like, oh, I can do this next time. Or when you make mistakes, you kind of learn from it, and then it gives you ideas for making new things. So that's how I started. Sorry, I'm really getting croaky here. That's how I started with my angel card readings. I just started with my friends first. They would ask me questions, and I would do an angel card reading for them, and then I would get ideas of the setting and how to arrange my table and the camera and how to do it. And then just slowly I built up a way to do it, and then I just started sharing. And it's not perfect. I do fumble and mumble and ramble on, and sometimes I don't know what I'm saying and sometimes I feel like I'm just making things up. And that's all okay. It's fun creating stuff just for the joy of creating stuff, and I just absolutely love it. So yeah, whatever is that thing you want to do, just start now. Don't worry about having the right equipment, or don't worry about, oh, it has to be perfect and then I'll share it. Just start sharing little bits of your work, or start working on something that you're really passionate about, but you don't necessarily have all the things that you need. Do what you can with what you already have, and at whatever stage you are. There's nothing more exciting than being a beginner when you're learning a new skill, because that's where all the joy is, learning, and the trajectory is exponential, because going from not knowing anything about a subject to knowing a little bit about it is really rewarding. Okay, so wow, this is a really long introduction, just about one quote. I haven't even got to the books. It's going to be a long podcast. Okay, so then on the second page, next to the quote, she says, oh, I think it's a she, I don't know. The author says, celebrate your personal best. Everyone is different. We all learn different things at different times. Yeah, that's so true. Like, one person can be an amateur about something and another person can be skilled about it. But what someone else might not know. So just share it anyways. Or, we're all learning things at different times, and we're at different levels, and that's okay. The only person you're competing with is yourself. Okay, so everyone is different. We all learn different things at different times. And what is easy for one person might be an enormous challenge for another. And that's all okay, because you're progressing at your own level, at your own capability. You don't have to compare yourself with other people. You might be good at one thing and that they aren't good at, and that they might be good at one thing that you're not good at. And, so being the best you can is about setting your own goals and recognizing when you have achieved them, rather than trying to boost your self-esteem through the praise or recognition of others. So, being the best is about setting your own goals and then recognizing when you actually achieve them, rather than comparing to other people or trying to get recognition or praise from other people to boost your self-esteem. Self-esteem comes from within, from being proud of yourself, from knowing that, oh, I couldn't really do this before, but now I can. So celebrate your personal best and leave everyone else to focus on theirs. I really like that. That's really great. So celebrate your own personal best and then let everyone else work on their stuff. It's not a competition. Okay, so the second quote is, it's coming up to 10 minutes. So because I want to post this on Instagram, I'm just going to start a new recording for the second quote from this book. The Man in the Arena quote by Theodore Roosevelt. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who, at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Ooh, gives me chills. So I just wanted to read that because it is such an amazing quote. And every time I hear Brene Brown quote it, she quotes it so lovely. So do check her out on TED Talks on YouTube. The way she expresses it is just so wonderful. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the next quote from the book Love Your Life by Domonique Bertolucci. So the next random quote is by Cardinal Newman. Nothing would be done at all if a man waited until he could do it so well that no one could find fault with it. So that actually ties in really nicely with the other quote, that we wouldn't do anything if we waited for it to be so perfect before we actually executed it, before we actually did it. Or, sorry, I'm just putting my pens away so they don't rattle. Yeah, so it just goes to show, don't wait for the perfect situation, the perfect circumstances, the perfect equipment, or the perfect work to share it or to do it, because there's no such thing as perfection. There's actually beauty in the flaws as well. It's better to have something done than to have it perfect and not done and just have it in your imagination because you think, oh, it can never match the image I have in my mind, so what's the point? Because I think every artist, every creative, every person feels like that. But it's better to have something tangible, have something in the physical form, than just have something that's in your mind, because then other people can't see it. So yeah, I'm just going to read it again because it is really profound. Nothing would be done at all if a man waited until he could do it so well that no one could find fault with it. So no matter what you produce, there's always going to be some naysayer, some critic that's going to say something. And you know what? Just ignore them, because they're not capable of creating something. They feel like just by criticizing it, they've done something, that they can own it a little bit, or they can be part of your creativeness, but they're actually lacking and they're just projecting. So ignore the critics. They don't count at all. And just going to read the second page relating to this quote. Let go of your excuses. Anytime you find yourself making a direct or indirect excuse for something in your life, realize that what you are really doing is accepting a limiting belief. So anytime you feel that you're making an excuse, what you're really doing is that you're accepting and a limiting belief, and that limiting belief isn't true, but it's holding you back. Learn to let go of excuses and discover what life can be like when the only limits you accept are ones you consciously choose. So basically, let go of your excuses, and then you'll discover what your life can look like with only the limits that you consciously choose and aren't subconscious, because subconsciously we have habits and we think we're not good enough, and you are good enough. I'm telling you right now. So whatever it is that you want to do, go forth and do it. You don't need a sign from the universe to give you permission. You can take this as a sign to do it. Just do it, and you'll feel so good about it. It could be anything, whatever it is that you're interested in, even if it's just a little spark of interest, and you're like, "Ooh, I kind of want to do it," but you're afraid that, oh, I'm not good enough, or I can't do it, or it's too hard. That's how every person feels at the beginning of anything, because we're all beginners. Okay, so now I'm going to read 2 quotes from another book. So this is a really cute little book. It's literally called The Little Book of Calm. And it's Secrets for Calm by the best-selling author of Instant Calm, Paul Wilson. So it's just a really cute little pocket book. And I just randomly chose 2 quotes. So the first quote is really, really apt because it's literally what I do first thing in the morning. Anna Brown, who is this amazing spiritual person on YouTube and Instagram. Feel Good actually mentioned her, and I started following her, and she's so sweet. She always talks about how first thing in the morning, do something that makes your heart sing. Do something for your heart. Do something that makes you feel joyous. Dedicate if you can. Obviously, I know that people have different commitments, but if you can spend just even 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes doing something just for yourself before you have to do other commitments and stuff, that would be really good. Okay, so the quote: barricade the door. There comes a time when you need to shut yourself off from interruption to concentrate on your own needs and responsibilities. Do it for at least 1 hour a day. So if you can, make an appointment with yourself and say, you know what, I'm going to give this 1 hour to myself. It can be any time during the day. It could be in the morning, lunchtime, in the afternoon, in the evening, before bed, anytime. And then just kind of like commit yourself and put it in like your phone, like a diary, like a meeting with somebody else, and say, you know what, I'm going to have an hour with myself and do whatever it is that you want to do in that hour. And don't feel guilty, because it's really important to spend time doing things that you love. And it's only an hour, and we get 24 hours. So, okay, the next quote, which is really appropriate because I love dancing. Dance till you drop. One of the most pleasurable exercises around. Uninhibited dancing distracts even the most committed warrior. So, that really famous quote, dance like no one is watching. Absolutely do that. Dance in your living room, in your office, not in your office if you're working in a building with other people, because they're going to think you're crazy. But if you have a home office, or dance in the kitchen, in the living room, in your bedroom, in the hallway, put on your favorite music and just dance for 3 minutes for the duration of the song, and you'll feel so much better. Actually, Matthew Hussey talks about that. He's like, no matter what mood you're in, if you just dance, it kind of breaks you out of that mood. Like if you're in a bad mood, or if you're feeling down or depressed or whatever, put on some nice music and just dance, and you'll find that physically you can affect your emotions by changing your physicality, by changing your physical motion. So try it. Next time you're feeling a little bit melancholy, put on a nice, uplifting song and just dance. Just move your body in any way you like. There's no set rule of, oh, I have to dance in a certain way or anything like that. Just go with the flow. Let the music guide your body movements, because that's when you feel in the flow. That actually reminds me of this really nice quote by this dance teacher on YouTube, and she talks about how dancing is about the freedom and letting go, and not worrying about what you look like. If I can, I'm going to try to find the quote. Okay, so I found the quotes by Melody Dance Fit that she talks about dancing, and it was just really, really encouraging to me when I read them, and I thought, oh my gosh, she's so sweet. If you want to search for her, just go on to YouTube and type in Melody Dance Fit, and it should come up. And she just creates these really fun dance moves that you can follow, or you can just watch it for inspiration and then just do your own stuff. That's what I like doing, just not worrying so much about doing certain steps, but just getting an idea of it and then just improvising yourself, because that's what dancing really is. It's just letting the music guide you to how you want your body to move. And there isn't any one particular way of dancing and doing certain steps, just freestyle. And that's That's the fun of it. Creating in the moment, in the flow. The magic in dancing is letting go and feeling the freedom that you have when you move your body, and the music just takes over. So her quote is, which I love, "To me, the beauty of dance has never been in technique or coordination, but the magic and freedom in letting go and not caring what you look like." So I really like that, because I was so hung up on, oh my God, my technique isn't good. I'm not coordinated. I'm not doing the steps right. She's like, no, the beauty of dance isn't about technique or coordination, but it's the magic and freedom in letting go and not caring what you look like. And it's just having fun with it. And she then says, "I want fewer people to see dance as scary or intimidating, because once you let go of trying to perfect it, you start to see it for what it is, a universal language that inspires both community and individuality." Oh, I love that. So I'm just going to read it again because it's such an amazing quote. So she basically doesn't want people to see dance as scary or intimidating, and she's just really encouraging, really inclusive. And she talks about how, just let go of trying to perfect it. Because once you do that, then you'll get to see that it's a universal language that inspires both, people coming together, but also dancing on your own. So you can dance with other people, but you can dance on your own. And yeah, it's a universal language. So again, to me, the beauty of dance has never been in technique or coordination, but the magic and freedom in letting go and not caring what you look like. I want fewer people to see dance as scary or intimidating, because once you let go of trying to perfect it, you start to see it for what it is, a universal language that inspires both community and individuality. Oh, I love that quote. Okay, and then there's another quote. I don't know who said this because I don't have it in my notes. So I'm sorry that I'm not able to to acknowledge the original writer, but two other quotes. Dance is not only about movement, but also expression of thoughts, feelings, experiences, and many other dynamics. So it's an expression of your thought and feelings and experiences. Combining different styles to explore your current alignment progress and express what is hidden and wants to be released. So you can combine different dance styles to then express your, to express yourself basically, and just to release whatever needs to be released basically. So yeah. Okay, so I just talked 4 minutes about dance quotes. Okay, moving on to the next book. Okay, so welcome back. Now I'm actually getting to the nitty gritty part of the podcast. That was an amazingly long introduction. Maybe I should limit the number of quotes that I start with, because now I'm actually getting to the books that are chosen for today's podcast. So the first book is What to Talk About on a Plane, at a Cocktail Party, in a Tiny Elevator with Your Boss's Boss, by Chris, Colin, and Rob. I'm going to butcher his name. Baedeker. Illustrated by Tony Millionaire. What a great surname, Millionaire. Hello, Mr. Millionaire. Okay. So it's a really cute book. I know I say that about every book, but this is really cool. It gives you loads of ideas about starting conversations with lots of different people, friends, family, strangers, people that are that you come in contact with, like bank people, your barista, and children, just anyone. So I'll just read the blurb so you get an idea of what the book is about. Learn how to talk fluently, intelligently, and charmingly to family, friends, lovers, future lovers, bank tellers, postal carriers, people under the age of 8. Do you get credit for talking to them if their parents aren't around? That's quite funny. just saw the number 1111 on my iPad because my music stopped. So I just went to turn it back on again, and I saw 1111 on my iPad watch. That happens quite a lot, actually. Saw it last night as well. So I always just have this little ritual of making a wish whenever I see it. There are apparently angelic codes, or your angels giving you a message. Okay, so the blurb. So the book includes cold openings and mastering the art of small talk. What to talk about on a first date, a 3-part masterclass, quizzes, do's and don'ts, and fail-proof conversation starters. How to Skype your parents, how to talk to them in person, for God's sake. Okay, so I'm just going to read the first page, and then I'm going to read just 2 random pages that I selected through angel cards and numerology. Okay, so introduction. Imagine almost any situation where 2 or more people are gathered. A wedding reception, a job interview, 2 off-duty cops hanging out in a jacuzzi. What do these situations have in common? Almost all of them involve people trying to talk with each other. But in these very moments where conversation would enhance an encounter, where the right words would take an interaction to the next level, we so often fall short. We can't think of anything to say, or we can, and it's rinky-dink bush league. Even worse, we do a passable job at talking. We stagger through our romantic, professional, and social worlds with the goal merely of not crashing, never considering that we might soar. We go home sweaty and puffy and eat a whole birthday cake in the shower. Deep down, we know there's more to human existence than just polite, prefabricated exchanges. We know that with the right words, we can uncork new mysteries, discover new truths, land better jobs, get into some deep, soulful conversation with a professor. So that's what this book is about. What to talk about is about to talk to you. So that's what to talk about is about to talk to you about. How about connecting with others in more interesting, unexpected ways? How about having a conversational match to spark conversation in any situation? Or a verbal fire extinguisher to hose down an interaction that's blown up in your face? How about putting people at ease? How about seeing others in new dimensions? How about adding some word yarn to this giant salad quilt we call the human experience? So yeah, it's just a really good book, giving you lots of ideas of how to talk to people. I don't particularly like small talk. I find it, I don't want to do small talk. So I like asking people just random questions, or just talking about philosophical things, but they don't necessarily have to be like deep philosophy stuff, but just things like, if you could, like if you're at a party, instead of the usual conversation like, what do you do? What's your job? I like asking people like, if you could travel back in time, what era would you go back in? Or if you had the choice between going back in time or in the future, which one would you choose and why? And other questions like, if you could go back to a certain period in your life, what period of your life would you go back to? And would you change something, or would you give yourself younger self advice? So yeah, just have fun. I really like time traveling questions. I mean, those are really fun. Or you can ask people, what's the last film you saw at the cinema? Usually my mind goes blank because I'm like, what was the last film? Even though I go to the cinema quite a lot. Or you can ask people about, what book they're reading at the moment, and ask them to give you a quick synopsis, or what TV show they're watching. So, okay, so I just opened this book on randomly. So this is about cold openings. A trigger word, water, in the conversation above is the ideal way to enter a conversation. Not only does it make you seem like you're relating to the topic at hand, but you simultaneously appear to be listening. However, there are times when trigger words are hard to come by, such as when you're starting a conversation from scratch. In these cases, you need cold openings. Bold, unboring statements that shoot you right past the usual pleasantries. Cold openings are meant to put people off balance, but in a provocative way, so that they fall back into you, conversationally speaking. Here are some examples. Write them inside your waistband before the next mixer, or use them as prompts to create your own. Okay. Excuse me, do you have the app where you sigh loudly and your iPhone fixes whatever is bothering you? I bet that 100 years from now, torture chambers will seem almost barbaric. That's weird. I don't get that. I bet that 100 years from now, torture chambers will seem almost barbaric. Okay, what URL do you think you want chiseled onto your gravestone? Do you think train conductors get burnt out on waving to people? Weird how you never hear about ghosts appearing at the gym, right? I bet there's a lot of eye rolling at the triple washed spinach factory right before round 3. That's quite funny. And then I bet your spirit animal is an attic raccoon. That's also another really fun question, is like, oh, what would your spirit animal be? Or if you're a fan of His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman, you can ask, what would your demon animal be? I once said that to my friend, actually. She was not aware of His Dark Materials at all. So when I said demon, she thought I was talking about literally demon. We were walking back to the train station, and there was a man walking with his dog, and I just joked and I said, oh, now that I'm reading the book and watching the series on BBC, which is amazing, I totally recommend it. I did start reading the book many years ago, and now I picked it up again because of the BBC series. So I just said to her, I said, oh, now that I see dogs around, I see them as demons, as people's demons. And she just looked at me horrified, because in her mind she thought I mean literally the word demon. But I was like, oh no, I meant like from His Dark Materials, how demon are an extension of your soul, or they are your soul, or something like that. And she was like, oh, okay. I don't think she got it. So I was like, oh, I better not go around saying that, because people who aren't aware of His Dark Materials won't get it. So yeah, you can ask people that. If you can ask them first, do you know His Dark Materials? And yeah, so now I'm just going to read another page from the book. And this one again is about some random sentences you can ask people at a party, or just anywhere if you're like standing in line for something and you want to talk to a stranger. So one is, quick, let's confess a sin on the count of 3. Tell me one thing you're proud of. Go. And another one, if that cake were an edible cake, which kind of cake would you want it to be? I don't really get that, but yeah, so that's about it. So yeah, check it out. Check out the book. It's really handy for sparking your one-liners for opening. And the second book is Your Erroneous Zones by Dr. Wayne Dyer. Dr. Wayne Dyer is my spiritual guru. Seriously, he is so amazing. I learned so much from him. I just randomly found this book. And it just sparked so much inspiration in me. And I then went on YouTube and I discovered who he was, and I watched all his YouTube videos, and then I discovered Law of Attraction, Esther Hicks, and seriously, he was amazing man, and I just feel so blessed that I came across him. So this book is amazing. I haven't read all of it, but I read some of it, and it's just really good. It talks about how to escape your negative thinking and take control of your life. So I'm just going to read the blurb at the back of the book. Positive and practical advice for breaking free from the trap of negative thinking. If you are plagued by guilt and worry and find yourself failing unwittingly into the same old self-destructive patterns, then you have erroneous zones. whole facets of your approach to life that act as barriers to your success and happiness. Dr. Wayne Dyer can help you break free. If you believe you have no control over your feelings and reactions, Dyer reveals how you can take charge of yourself and manage how much you let difficult situations affect you. If you spend more time worrying about what others think than working on what you want and need. So don't worry about what other things, focus more on what you want and need. Dyer points the way to self-reliance. From self-image problems to over-dependence upon others, Dyer gives you the tools you need to enjoy life to the fullest. So, I'm just going to read the first page, and then I'll just read a random 2 excerpts. So, before I do that, I just want to read the quote that he has at the front of the book. The whole theory of the universe is directed unerringly to one single individual, namely to you, by Walt Whitman. Okay, so I'm just going to paraphrase what he's saying. So at the introduction, a personal statement. So he opens the book with a really funny story about a group of alcoholics determined. A speaker stood before a group of alcoholics determined to demonstrate to them that alcohol was evil beyond compare. So on this platform, he places 2 identical containers of clear fluid, and in one of them is pure water and the other one is undiluted alcohol. He then places a small worm in the container while everyone watches, and it just swims around and then heads for the side of the glass. And then it crawls to the top of the glass, and then he takes the same worm and places it in the container with the alcohol, and the worm disintegrates, vanishes, disintegrates basically right before their eyes. And then he says, "What's the moral?" And then a voice says, "I see that if you drink alcohol, you'll never have worms." So that's quite funny. So she basically saw what she wanted to see, not what he was trying to get across. So she took it in a positive way. So then Dr. Wayne Dyer talks about how this book has a lot of worms in it, meaning that you will hear and perceive exactly what you want to hear based upon your own values and beliefs and prejudices and personal history, because we always come from information through our lens, through our filter, and through our own beliefs. So, and then he talks about how self-defeating behavior and the ways to overcome it, they're touchy areas to write about because, as humans, we get a bit defensive. We're like, oh, we're fine. We don't want to do the work. We don't want to do the shadow work of having to change our behavior because we get so used to the normality of it, because it's just a habit. And then he talks about looking at yourself in depth with an eye toward changing might be something that you're interested in, but then your behavior often speaks otherwise. And then he talks about how change is tough. If you're like most people, every fiber of your being will resist having to take on the hard work of eliminating the thoughts that support your erroneous feelings and behavior. And then he's like, but despite the worms, I think you're going to like this book. And he loved it and loved writing it. And then I highlighted this one particular quote. So I'm just going to read that. So and then he talks about how if you're a healthy, happy human being, you might think that, oh, I could have written this book. And you're right. And you don't need a professional background in counseling and a doctorate in the helping profession to understand the principles of effective living. You don't learn them in a classroom or in a book. You learn them by being committed to your own happiness and then by doing something about it. This is something he worked on every day while simultaneously helping others to make similar choices. So I'm not going to, read the whole first chapter. I don't want to get done for copyright. So that's why I just read certain quotes and then paraphrase it as well, because under the fair use law you can do that, especially when you're like commenting on a book. So now I'm just selected 2 random pages. So the first one is he talks about choosing how you feel. So feelings are not just emotions that happen to you. Feelings are reactions you choose to have. So that's really interesting. So feelings aren't emotions that happen to you. Feelings are reactions you choose to have. If you are in charge of your own emotions, you don't have to choose self-defeating reactions. Once you learn that, you can feel what you choose to feel. So I really like that. It's like really empowering that we can control our thoughts. And that actually reminds me of Neville Goddard's. Like I can't remember the actual quote, if feelings come from thoughts or something like that. It is in the public domain, so I might do some readings from it, and then I don't have to worry about copyright, but it's an amazing book. Can't remember what it's called, but he's written loads of books. So just, if you're interested, you can go into Google and search for Neville Goddard. Feeling is the Secret. I think that's the main book that everyone in the spiritual community or just philosophy mention. Okay, so then he talks about 3 things. So the major premise is I can control my thoughts. The minor premise, my feelings come from my thoughts. Conclusion, I can control my feelings. So if you can control your thoughts and your feelings come from your thoughts, you are then able to control your feelings. Does that make sense? So if you have the premise, the belief that you can control your thoughts and that feelings come from your thoughts. So if you're thinking something happy, then you feel happy. And if you can control your thoughts, then you're able to control your feelings because your feelings come from your thoughts, and you can control your thoughts by thinking certain things. And I think that's what meditation is really is what teaches us, the fact that we want to control our thoughts. In meditation, you just want to clear your mind or just think about certain thoughts. It's not necessarily just having a blank canvas in your brain, but just focusing on certain things like the sound or the sounds you can hear, or creating a guided fantasy story in your mind, like daydreaming it. So your major premise is clear. You have the power to think whatever you choose to allow your head. If something just pops into your head, you choose to put it there, though you may not know why. You still have the power to make it go away, and therefore you still control your mental work. You alone control what enters your head as a thought. So I'm just going to leave it there because I could just quote Dr. Wayne Dyer from his book for ages. So yeah, check it out. Or just Google, or just watch his YouTube videos. There's so many on there, and he's just very, very inspiring, and he really is my mentor. So he was amazing, really amazing guy. And I love the fact that, we have, even when they pass away, these great ascended masters, these great thinkers and teachers, we are still able to learn from them because of the books they've written. And that's why I love books so much, because we have access to their knowledge and to what they wanted to teach us. Okay, thank you so much for listening. And that is the end of my morning podcast. And I wish you a lovely day, or whenever you listen to this. Okay, bye for now.